Hey, party people, we are back. Well,
Hello.
I don't know if you just experienced that, but for the first time in 320 episodes, I went live and it kicked us out. And then I did it again and it kicked us out again. And I was like, what is going on? Anyways, we are here. The stress of doing a live stream. We are here with the lovely Ashley Surratt from Black Veatch. And for those of you who are not familiar with Ashley's wonderful work, she is in what's called EPC, which is craft and actually, what does EPC stand for?
Engineering, procurement, and construction.
Okay, so craft construction at a company called Black Veatch. She also used to run some recruiting sourcing teams at AWS and a couple of other things like that. So we have a celebrity amongst us. And as you can see from the whiteboard in the background, this is not someone who kids around. They are like all in on sourcing. So welcome to Shally's Alley, Ashley. So
Yeah.
glad to have you here today. Much appreciated. Let me put your little name banner thing here and elevate you to the top position
All
as my
right.
hot seat. You're in the hot seat now.
Feeling the pressure. Feeling the pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. I mean, it's not like you source the workforce that builds the world or anything. I mean,
No big deal.
right?
Minor details. Yeah.
Minor detail, yeah. It's like power plants, data centers, those kinds of things. So
Yeah.
we're talking sourcing for skilled trades,
Mm-hmm.
and why recruiting blue collar roles takes more creativity than a lot of tech positions. And I fancy that. I've worked with a lot of companies in this space. Like, for example, let's see, who are some, McKesson, CH2M Hill. What are they called
Mm-hmm.
now? CH2, they changed names.
Yeah, they did. I forget now. You're gonna put me on the spot, and I'm not gonna.
Yeah, and actually, in the construction space and everything, and it's fascinating how different that world is. But it's hard to explain to people that are kind of the uninitiated. I mean, there's some weird jobs, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you work on any of this, but the people that put the iron beams or the iron, like, I don't know, the flexible iron in the road on the bridges. It's like a really highly specialized role where they have to know exactly what they're doing with these long iron poles that get buried in the concrete, because you can't fix that. Once it's in the concrete, it's like in the concrete, like,
Yeah.
it's there. So there's stuff like that, but I'm sure there's also plenty of other things I don't know about. So tell me a little bit about, catch up the rest of the world on what is
Yeah.
EPC.
Yeah. So Black and Beach, we focus on. We don't do a lot of roads and bridges, but very similar types of things, like, right, they're very challenging positions. And so we're for all the way from the initial design of a wastewater treatment plant. If you think about water infrastructure, how it's getting to and from your home to the plant, all that good stuff. And then
Wait, why is wastewater going to my home?
water and wastewater. There you go. I also talk fast, may clarify. We do a lot with the grid, so how you get power to and from your home into the substations. Those are probably our biggest two areas, but we do a lot of different things as well with power generation, with power plants. You talked about data centers and all those things. So from the very beginning of inception, as we work with clients and they say, we need something to fix this problem, or we need brand new build or optimization, our engineers are designing it. And then we have a really great opportunity, which we don't, all engineering firms do this, but we see our product as, and like this final product through construction, which just makes it very unique.
Right.
And that's where that EPC comes
Like,
in.
literally, like, hey, that we built that.
Yeah. Yeah. You get to see your final product, which is
So
pretty
when
cool.
people talk about infrastructure, like, oh, this government's infrastructure, this city's infrastructure, this country's infrastructure, this is it. This is the
Yep.
infrastructure.
We are living and
Yeah.
breathing it right now.
Roads, bridges, dams, power plants,
Yeah.
everything. So,
Keeping us
and
busy.
you actually, sorry, what was that?
So it's keeping us very busy lately.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, no kidding. That's a good point. Just don't tell people where cement comes from. It usually freaks them out. Um, you've sourced in healthcare
Mm-hmm.
and tech,
Mm-hmm.
and now this, which I'm sure has some tech in it.
Yep.
I'm sure there's lots of engineering and technology, but then there's also this other stuff that a lot of folks don't even see, the people that get up in the morning and get the road built before you even have your first cup of coffee. What is the biggest myth that just doesn't survive when you
Yeah.
move industries like you did? Like,
Oh, that's a really good question. So I don't know if it's a myth, but I'll say it's a misconception that I had coming into the role. So when I first joined BV, they're like, Ash, we need help with project managers. I'm like, well, project managers are everywhere. What are you talking about?
right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I
Can
got
you Gantt or can you not Gantt?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That is not really what a PM does here.
I
And
know. I
so
know.
it's very niche. And so I got here and it was really challenging.
Estimation and
Yeah, and, like, having to have this giant, very niche engineering background, like, for 10 years of designing the wastewater treatment before you even start managing the project, and I'm like, "Oh, these are extremely hard to fill roles," and so you don't realize, like, very few people are, like, getting excited about, our power lines and, like, the slag and what kind of tower do you need, like, you don't think about all these things, whereas when people are going to school, like, that's not typically what they think about, and so well, I've learned a lot, but I didn't realize how complicated these roles were and how niche they were. And so
mhm.
when I first came here, I was like, I've done big tech, I've done all these things, like it'll be fine. These are by far the hardest roles I've ever sourced and recruited on in my entire life. They're just extremely niche and hard to find, and
Yeah,
not a lot of
you want
people go to
hard. Let
school
me
for it.
let me yeah, come here, let me tell you something. What I'm doing right now is it's nuts. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I hear you switching industries. That's kind of what I was wondering. So the biggest myth is, because we say if you're a good recruiter, you can recruit for anything once you
Yeah.
understand the roles. So that's not a myth. That's true. If you're a good recruiter, you can make the switch. But the myth is you can just make the switch. It's
Yeah.
actually like, wow, you have to, really dig heels in and
Yeah.
relearn, and you probably don't know a lot of the things that you're not gonna that you don't know. Like you just come
Yeah.
into this and go, yeah. Like when you said project manager, I was laughing because I went to work for this company where they had project managers,
Mhm.
and those were basically consultants. And then I
Yeah.
went to this other company where they had project managers, and they were scrum masters, like
Mhm.
in IT. And I'm like, huh? And it was like to completely, that's project manager and product manager, in my opinion, are the two most useless job titles because
It
they
tells you
don't
nothing,
describe
right?
what you do. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like they're the two most like open for interpretation titles that, because I mean, even consultants, something about what they do.
Yeah.
They provide advice, but like a project manager could be doing spreadsheets or,
Yeah.
it's crazy, right?
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
okay.
definitely a humbling moment. I'm like, "Oh, okay. It's fine."
So like, what's it? Give me the breadth of, go from like an example of the hardest of the hard. Like
Mm.
now that you're settled in and you know
Yeah.
more about the space,
Mhm.
and it's no longer, oh my gosh, I got to learn this. Like what are the really hard types of roles, and then like what are the ones that you're like, wow, this is gonna be hard, and then you did it, and you're like, whoa, surprisingly easy. Give me the
Yeah.
spectrum.
Yeah. So our infrastructure, we have an entire consulting arm of our business as well. So,
Okay, right,
and
like
they
yeah,
have some
okay,
really hard niche roles that, I've pulled the data on. There's literally 20 people of feel like, well, how am I going to do this? And so,
yeah.
and how do you get those one of those 20 people just to even get to talk to you? And then we have to, you start looking back of, you know, transferable skills and all those things. But our nodal modeler is probably one of the hardest roles I've ever worked on. We had it open for almost 3 years before
A
we filled
noodle
that thing.
modeler,
Nodal
total,
modeler.
right?
There's not very many people that do it. And also you think about all this emerging technology in this space. It's wild. People don't think about it, but there's a lot of new and lots of quick innovation that's happening. And so being able to find people that are keeping up with that is also very challenging because there's only so many people that worked with this piece of technology. And you think about the cybersecurity of our infrastructure, that's a whole
Oh,
different ballgame of cybersecurity
hmm,
specialists that, you know, the United States hasn't really spent a ton of time on before, really invested in the way we should have probably. And now we're playing some catch up.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I hear about some things because I'm in the government space,
Yeah.
um, uh, government. But I heard about this. I can't. I wasn't there, so hearsay. Hack that happened where the cyber attacker was able to get into the mainframe through the power supply,
Hmm.
and I was like, huh? Because
Yeah.
come to think of it, it isn't. it is a wire. It is an electric wire. So is your cable
Yeah.
and your DSL. These are all wires. So it kind of makes sense. But I'm like,
Mhm.
how do you router that? Because I'm in my mind thinking Cisco, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's not. Well, so that's one of those weird things. And another weird one is the physical security of
Yes.
buildings. And then it's like, oh, right. So you got this really awesome data center, but guess what? Somebody could break in just like they break into an office or a bank. And like, so you have a whole nother, like,
Mhm.
you got cybersecurity and then you got like, this other thing.
Yeah, physical security, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. So what is like, give me an example of the most unexpected place where you found a candidate? Not that, like don't name
Oh.
names, but like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
if you want, I can start.
Yeah, you can start and I'll think about it. How about that?
Okay. So uh, when a company like yours proposes a project, especially for state and federal, and there are lots of companies that do this, they have to publish a paper that is essentially kind of like let's call it a pitch deck. It's an intent, and if
Mhm.
they win the contract, this document becomes part of the like public record and evidence. Anyways, in there, they have to name people that are capable of doing the components that are going to get done. So essentially, they provide almost like a little mini resume, kind
Mhm.
of like the project engineer who's the lead engineer,
Yeah.
or whatever. And these are documents that go into state and other
Mhm.
organizationals kind of records. So that was one for me, was finding somebody that had a superintendent kind of role and was listed in there as a contact, and it was just a name, but with the
Yeah.
name I was able to go from there. So that's my one example.
Yeah, that's actually a really good one. So I've actually done training on that here on how to X-ray some
Find those people,
proposal, find
right?
them, right? Like find those titles. Where I think another place that you could go to find some unexpected talent is I'm gonna go back to nursing for a second, but when I was in that space, Daisy Award winners are just listed. So you can go to every state of Kansas Daisy Award winner and go find them and start reaching out. Like, who doesn't want a Daisy Award winner at their house system? So we actually got quite a few hires from just me pulling that activity. So that was kind of just a unique way to pull nursing talent. And then from like an engineering perspective, I think I was going to the proposals probably the most unique way you can probably do it, to be completely transparent, but also looking at speakers. So a lot of these associations are writing papers on how to improve the water infrastructure and things of that nature. So then who's writing those articles and who's talking about it
Hmm.
and really digging deep into those. So that's kind of where I've also found some experts.
So you have a fan that's asking a question. How are you using
Okay.
AI to find? How are you? And if so, how are you
Mm,
using AI to find these kinds of talent?
yeah, that's a good question. So, I mean, LinkedIn has a million different AI features you can all jump into those and play with. But one of the things that I have found really successful is looking into like taking someone's profile and saying, okay, what companies did they go to and finding similar ones and just really start doing some talent mapping using AI technology just to kind of help me do that. But then also asking them like, what are the top 10 wastewater treatment plants in XYZ state or whatever, and then going out and try to find those proposals or using those wastewater treatment plants as my keywords in my Boolean, right? Like have it write it for me. So that's some of the things that I've done. So having to just like research, I just let AI tell me all the wastewater treatment plants that someone could have worked on.
Wow. Okay, extending the talent map with like you have sample profile. Here's a sample
Yeah.
profile. How did they get here? What do other people do to get here?
Mhm.
Where do they come from? Yeah, that's awesome. All right, I'll give you another one.
'Kay.
So court cases.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's a good one.
Uh-huh. Yeah, also public record, right?
Yeah.
And typically in something that has to do with infrastructure, if something went wrong,
Mhm.
and let's just say it was a natural act like flood, earthquake, rain, lightning, whatever, things that happen. And there's, lawsuits. Then sometimes in those lawsuits, they'll call in the specialists that were responsible for those construction projects or had, responsible for parts like pouring the
Yeah,
concrete,
that's really
right?
clever.
To testify on behalf of the could be the defendant or whatever,
Mhm.
but they're the ones that are the subject matter expert because they were there. Like, yeah, I poured that concrete, and I've been doing this for 30 years, and I poured that concrete like I poured every other concrete, and so therefore it was done right. None of my other buildings fell, so
Mhm.
this was flood, not concrete problem,
Yeah.
right? They put their names in there too. So
Yeah, that's actually really smart. I would never have thought that. So I might have to go play with it later to see what I can find
yeah,
out there.
yeah. Let's go to the other end of the spectrum
Yeah.
and talk about the ones that you were like, this is gonna be hard, and then you're like, whoa, I can't believe how easy this was. Like unexpectedly super easy.
Yeah. Um, Let me think on this one. So I would say I wouldn't say it's easy, right? I think we can find the people.
But it was like
Like,
you thought it was gonna be hard, and it was unexpectedly easier than that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm actually surprised on how many people actually do this work. Like when you think
Okay.
about like how you like create and design a grid, like you're like, oh, how many people are doing that? But we can find them. So I actually was pleasantly surprised on how many people there were out there for us to connect with in different ways that we can
And
find
different,
talent.
right?
It's more of getting them to engage with us because they're
Right.
not active necessarily on social media and online because they're just tend to be more private people. So the surprise was there's a lot more of them than I thought there would be.
Mhm.
The unfortunate part is that they're just
They're
how
hard to
do I get
get
them to engage?
in
Yeah,
touch with,
because they're also
right?
working in the field. So kind of similar to like
That's
my nursing
exactly right.
background,
Like
right?
you're
Like,
saying, yep.
and so we have to like get them where they're at a little bit and so get
Right.
creative.
Yeah. So getting them, messaging them in the field. So yeah,
Mhm.
what you're saying is that they're just hidden in all kinds of job titles and companies that you didn't know about. There's a because
Yeah.
this is not w- I did not try to offend anybody here, but you know me, I kind of say how it is. This is not exactly like a sexy, industry. Like
Oh,
you're out there, in the sun pouring concrete, using heavy machinery and everything. It's not like people are like, ooh, Facebook and Google,
yeah.
And so a lot of these companies, folks don't even know. They're not even aware of them. They're the companies that built the infrastructure, but
Yeah.
those companies don't put an advertising sign that says built by, brought to you
Yeah.
by, you know,
Yeah.
like, my
They
God,
should
look at this
though.
giant stadium. It's Turner Field,
Yeah.
but nobody realizes it's like, yeah, there's a little stamp in the corner that says made by Black and,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So
You should
you
do
don't
that
realize that. That makes a lot of sense.
though.
It does.
Yeah, like, and just I think the other piece too, when you go back on the construction side, I know I've been taking a lot of time with the engineering, but on the construction side, I didn't realize how much people travel in that space. That was a really
Really?
surprising to me that most of our construction professionals, they'll come from Kansas City, but they'll travel to Texas, they'll travel to Florida, and they'll work on these projects and live nearby and then travel to the next one. Like there's a whole population of professionals that are doing that. And I was like, didn't know that was a thing.
So would
So
you
that
say
was really
that's one of those
interesting.
unexpected things that
Yeah.
recruiters just don't understand about the EPC
Yeah. Until
space? Like
you
how much,
really like
right?
start hiring those individuals. And a lot of them will bring a lot of people with them, right? So they're like, oh, this is my brother, this is my cousin, right? And like they all do kind of like there's these networks of pockets of
Cruise.
yeah, exactly. That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
So that's been something that I was really surprised on how many people actually want to travel. Like to me, that sounds terrible, but I'm not me. I'm like, I'm not the one doing that work, so it doesn't matter. But
Yeah. I used to like to travel. I don't like travel anymore. It's
me
not as
either.
fun. Yeah. So you describe sourcing, and from out there and being kind of in the public eye a little bit and helping
Hmm.
evangelize our industry. You describe sourcing as constantly changing, which is not. I
Hmm.
wouldn't describe necessarily recruiting as constantly changing. I mean, recruiting has been technology has changed, but the mindset of recruiting, the systems of recruiting
Yeah.
have been pretty steady. But sourcing is something that I agree with you is very rapidly evolving.
Yeah.
What is, or can you think of one of the newest techniques or mindsets shifts
Hmm.
that made the biggest impact on your team recently? So think about either a technique or a mindset shift that is new
Mm.
that impacted your team that has been a change.
Oh, man, you really put me on the spot. I gotta think about this one for a second.
Oh,
Um,
you thought this was going to be easy.
I mean, I watched a couple of these episodes. I should know what I was getting myself into. I would think like so. What I'll say is, I think there was a time where sourcing teams and were held accountable for hires, 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 right? Like if you
Yeah.
weren't hiring, you weren't doing your job. But
Yeah.
that's
Right.
not really how my team impacts the hiring.
Thank God,
So
because it's not. That's not right. Yeah.
yeah. And so like we really had to look at our metrics and where do we make the impact? Because I'm a very strong believer that if we had 3 interviews, one's a source candidate, one applied on their own, one the recruiter found on their own, right? Because our recruiters still source.
Mhm.
And they hired the one that the recruiter sourced. That doesn't mean we didn't bring in a good person. And
Not
we
at all.
also gave the hiring manager enough people to interview so they quickly make a decision. So we were able to influence that
Decision
hire.
support.
Yes.
That's right.
And so really getting that mind shift away
Yep.
and saying quality over quantity, right? Like I'd rather you submit 6 really, really good people versus 15 and only 3 of them made it through. Like I don't like we want to make sure we focus on quality. So I think that transition kind of made people think differently about how they source and how they move candidates forward. And then when I first came here, and I will say we've started to see more and more requests come in from recruiters because we are a global organization. So now we're
Mhm.
seeing requests come in from globally because they are hearing about how much success other people have had partnering with us.
Right.
And so that's been really fun just to kind of see that this evolve over the past like almost 3 years, I guess. It'll be 3 years in
And so
December.
to be clear, because I think this is really important. To be clear, aside from the fact that you're running things and you came in and made this impact, the pivotal aspect of that success is in this case the mindset shift of going from, we are providing you with decision support. We are enabling the hire, even if the candidate that we sourced didn't get hired, because if the hiring manager only had one choice, that's not a choice at all.
Mm-hmm.
We sourced an alternative that was equally, in the mix, and they chose the best candidate and it wasn't ours, but they were able to choose a candidate because we provided one. And that mindset is you still assisted the hire, which it's something um, I've been for 25 years I've been talking about,
Yeah,
because you don't necessarily have to bring in the candidate that gets hired in order to fill a position. You
agreed.
also don't necessarily need to be counted on the number of hires that you do. It's always good to track that and have a
Mm-hmm.
number that you can say, I influenced this many hires. But for me, the economic incentive and the emphasis and the KPIs of forcing recruiters into a track, even recruiters, not just sourcers,
Mm-hmm.
into a track where you get measured on hires. What ends up happening is you basically are incentivizing or rewarding um, the wrong activity. If, for
Mm-hmm.
example, if you go into an organization and say recruiters have to make 35 hires in order to meet their quota, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
they will do whatever it takes to get those 35 hires and meet that quota, even if they chose to only work on the easy jobs and didn't do the hard ones, and they're not telling you that they're doing that. Even
Correct.
if they chose the easy way of doing it and spent more money than they needed to,
Yeah.
whatever it is, because the goal you're giving them is 35 hires.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the wrong incentive.
Yeah.
And for recruiting, that's tricky because how, it's always been there. For sourcing, doing the same thing is bordering on criminal, because you're incentivizing people to do something they can't really control, right?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
sourcing, you can influence everything up until the interview. But
Mm-hmm.
once the interview happens, there's two other parties involved,
Yeah.
the candidate and the hiring manager,
Mm-hmm.
not to mention the organization. And you can't change anything that happens after that. You can't impact. So the best you can do is provide people that get interviewed.
Yes,
And if the
exactly.
more people you submit get interviewed percentage wise, then you're doing a good job. Measure that. Measure the percentage of people that you present that get interviewed, because that has a higher impact on quality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because that is, in my opinion, the last step where the the inflection point is between essentially sourcing or recruiting and the rest of the organization. That's the last inflection point. Beyond that, there's background checks, there's compensation,
Mm-hmm.
and those are not even things that even recruiting is involved in. So
Yeah.
I think
We only
that's
have
really
control over what so much, right? Like let's just focus on what we have control over and let the rest
absolutely, we have a
just
lot of
go.
control over who gets interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean
Exactly.
that's it. And that's as far as we can get.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, I like this one. I look at sourcing as influencing the brand awareness more than necessarily the hire. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
the
love it.
brand awareness is also part of that. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you might have in sourcing touched 10,000 candidates and only made two hires, but now there's 9,908, 90, whatever.
Good
Um,
math. I'm impressed.
Math's not good. that know about the organization next time around. This happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I get in my career. I've had hires
Mm-hmm.
months or years later after.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah.
And building those relationships are really important. And, we talked about, how I've kind of moved into different industries. I actually, one of my first hires here was somebody that I was pursuing when I worked for. AWS, but
Another
then
company.
when I got laid off, I was like, "Okay," I came here and I was like, "Oh, well, I know exactly who I'm calling." I called him up like, "Hey, did you end up making it through?" He's like, "No," and I was like, "I have another job." And so it all worked out. So it was kind of cool to just like watch those relationships that you build end up working out for you down the road. And some people that I've hired years ago reach out to me still today. So
Nice. I got a funny question for you. Um, what is the longest period of time that has ever transpired between you sending somebody a message and them responding?
that is funny. We were actually just talking about this the other day. So I recently had somebody that reached out to me like 2 years later, like, "Hey, I know this is like from 2 years ago, but I'm on the market now." Like, okay, well, we do have roles open possibly. So it ends up working. Like I ended up talking to them, but it was 2 years ago. But that just shows like how often these individuals are going into their LinkedIn,
I can't believe you
and I'm
said
like,
that.
it's like,
I
oh, you
can't
haven't
believe
been
you
in here in
said
a
that.
while. So as soon
It's
as,
the same. So my number is very, very similar. I was
hmm
going to check. So it was, but trust me, I'm not making this up. It was 1.8 years. But the reason I'm saying that is because yours, you beat me by a margin there,
well,
2 years.
that's like, we're around 2 years,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But this was 666 days later.
Yeah, I did not do that level of math, but
Say what?
great.
No, I literally said on the
Yeah.
666 days ago. Um, say what you. I'm not superstitious or whatever. But it's like an ominous number,
Yeah.
and
That is
so
actually that's a good call. That is
yeah,
true.
667. Like, what do I really want to respond to this
Yeah.
candidate? So I forwarded that, to my team. I was like, hey guys, what do you think? Should I wait 666 days to reply?
Oh, that's
No, I
really
did
funny.
not. I just, but yeah.
Yeah, that's
Who
funny.
do you think will define the next generation of world class sorcerers, creativity, technology? No, who? What? I'm sorry. What the? What do you think will define the next generation of world class sorcerers, creativity, technology, or strategy? So, I guess
Oh.
Martella is asking the next generation of sourcing greats. Is it going to be because they're creative, because they're
Mhm.
technological, or because they are strategic?
Ooh, okay. Well, I think there's a little bit of all of that, but I think technology is gonna make
Pick
all
the
of our
one that's
sourcing
you. Pick the
jobs.
one that's
Sorry.
you.
Yeah. So I think technology, you have to be a technical person to and enjoy tech and keeping up with tech to be
Yeah, that's
successful
true.
at
Yeah.
sourcing,
If you
right?
don't
I think
enjoy it, that's
yeah, this may not be the right space for you.
yeah.
I think strategy though, because
Okay.
going back into where people are at, how do you meet them where they're at, being able to pull market data to create a strategy around all of that is going to be key because we can use technology to do help us and support us on that. You're going to have a strategic mindset to kind of overcome because with technology comes other ways to people to like hide their stuff or like I don't want to be contacted, I want to be left alone or whatever. Um, and then the other piece of that, I actually think personality, like being able to communicate. I think eventually you're going to have some automated messaging, right? We're going to have all these things that are going to automate. But at some point, you have to have human interaction. And so to be able to do that is going to be really, really key. You can't just like hide behind the keyboard anymore. I think there are
So
people going to have to really start
strategy.
talking.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. So strategy number one over technology, because I think what you're saying is technology is like part of the. It didn't used to be right.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, technology even for sourcing wasn't really. I mean,
No.
we had very basic technology, but what
Yeah.
you're saying is now technology is accessible to everyone. So that's going to be kind of like basic stakes.
Mm-hmm.
So more so would be the strategy, which I have to say, uh, creativity is a component of strategy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I would agree.
innovation and creativity, but the
Mm-hmm.
strategy being putting it all together. And I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
project management part of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Awesome.
Full circle.
So you've built teams from scratch. I
Mm-hmm.
built teams from scratch. We both built teams from scratch. Uh, Scratch is great. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what is the first signal that you look for that tells you? Let me hold on. After you hire, so not before you hire the team,
Okay.
either after you've hired everyone
Mm-hmm.
or if you've inherited a team.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to use this as a way to evaluate candidates, just to be
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah.
So you have the team. What's the first signal you look for that tells you that a sorcerer gets it? I use their
Oh, yeah. Um, so going back to metrics, right? It goes about quality of work. So I think it's Are you learning the profiles quickly? Here it's like I said, this is the hardest roles I've ever worked on in my entire life. So do I expect it to happen tomorrow? No. But are you taking feedback from the recruiters? Are you changing and pivoting? Are you looking to source in various ways and be creative? Are you just living in LinkedIn? Or are you trying to find ways to find talent? So those are really the two things, like how quickly are you learning the profile? How diverse are you in your searching to find talent? Because when people come to me like, oh, I found everybody on LinkedIn, I'm like, that's cool. Where else are you going? Making sure we're reaching out in various ways. But so it's not necessarily I've reached out to 150 people this week.
Mhm.
It's I was able to find 6 really quality people this month. And so going back to that metric, if this person's figuring it out, like if they aren't getting there, working backwards to say, are you sending the right messaging? Are we sending there might be a volume capacity. Sometimes you have to do some A/B testing on that to figure out what messaging isn't and isn't working. And just understanding, are they getting creative? Are they getting innovative? Or are they getting stuck and not thinking outside of the technology or our toolbox? This was a really long-winded
What
answer.
I heard was
Sorry.
you can tell the first signal that they get it is they don't get stuck.
Well, I guess that's not just really because, but I think it's more of, are they able to think,
That's yeah.
be creative and have
This is great. I think it's
critical
great. Yeah,
thinking.
they
Critical thinking.
create
Maybe that's what
it
it
out
is.
of the right problem solving,
Yeah.
creativity. Yeah. So in other words, in a systems process, which recruiting is more systems driven
Yes.
than sourcing. And by systems, I don't mean technology. I mean any collection of tasks is a systems. And recruiting has a very rigid, comparatively,
Mm-hmm.
collection of tasks. You have certain things you have to go through. You have to post jobs. There are legal
Yeah.
requirements. There's a lot of things that have to be done for
Mm-hmm.
regulatory and all kinds of other sourcing gets involved when that stuff not working. So
Yeah. We get to be
it's
in the
not
gray. It's
you know,
my favorite
it's
part.
less systems, less organized like that. So what you're
Yeah.
saying is, in recruiting, if you reach a point where you get stuck, there's things that you have to do to get unstuck. But
Mm-hmm.
in sourcing, when you get stuck, there's not like a button or there's no um, flip to page 27 and follow this process.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, if they get it, then they're the type of person that's gonna work around it, go under it, go over it, find a solution. They're not going to stop and look at the manual and try to figure out what the
Yes.
next step is supposed to be. I
Yeah. Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. 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 I
I
think that
gotcha.
you have to enjoy that, like puzzle
Enjoy
solving
that, but
piece.
also like not get enjoy it, but also not get to that point and go, this can't be done. Like can't do it.
Yep.
Right. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also okay to ask for help, right? Like, hey man, I'm stuck.
That's also yeah.
I'm in my rut of,
Absolutely. Yeah.
let's brainstorm some ideas, and I'm here for that
Right.
too. But
Yep.
being able to acknowledge it and see that you're stuck is also important.
As a leader, so I've had the privilege of being, you know, technical lead, tech lead, right? I've been
Mhm.
supervisor, manager, and director, VP, so leader of leaders. As a leader in any of the roles, whether it was supervising other people that I didn't really necessarily directly manage, contractors, for example, or leading managers that managed other people, the one thread that's always been consistent throughout that, because a lot of other things really change, especially in sourcing, a lot of things change. Um, the one thing that's always been consistent is I find the most annoying and least workable issues come from I can't
Yeah.
versus I don't know how. When
Mhm.
someone says, "Hey, I don't know how to do this. How do I do it? What can I try?" That's to me that's an open invitation to
1000%.
right. But when they're like, "I can't do this," it's sort of like it's like really. I mean, really, you
Yeah.
can't. Like, are you
Yeah.
sure you can't? Is it you can't, or is it you don't want to? Because what I'm
Yeah.
hearing is you haven't tried yet. I'm hearing
Yeah.
you gave up, and so to me, it's not a tenacity thing, although tenacity is a part of it. I think it's not just the grit and tenacity, which
Mhm.
that's also there. More so, like the helplessness of it, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're in that, if you're following the manual and the manual says you get to this point, you have to stop work, that's not sourcing. So if you
Mhm.
get into that position where like, I can't, then you really are in the wrong role. I think
Yeah.
you shouldn't be in sourcing because sourcing is the I can no matter what, not the I can't.
Yeah.
You know,
There's gotta be another rock I can
there's
go.
got
There's
to be
gotta
something else,
be
right?
something else I could be doing. Let's just keep looking.
Yeah. What if?
And enjoy. Yeah, the what if, like, I don't know, I think being able to think creatively and just enjoy that, and curiosity. I think that's the word I'm looking for, is
Yeah.
have the curiosity to try to find the solution.
Yeah. If you Good segue to my second to last question.
Uh-huh.
If you could give every recruiter, wave your magic, see if I can, your magic wand. If you could magically give every recruiter one sourcing superpower, what would that
Ooh.
be?
I would
Equalize. Everybody gets it.
yeah, everybody gets it. Can I just use the word creativity? I really do
Sure.
think
Yeah.
that's
Is that the superpower? Creativity.
I think so, right? Like, I think
Yeah.
you gotta be creative to find different solutions, to think about being able to turn over more stones, or however you wanna phrase it. The curiosity and creativity, right? I think you have to be curious enough to find it, and creative to drive and find creative solutions. I guess it's 2 words, curiosity and creativity, but
Curiosity and creativity. Okay, that's fine. That's a superpower, like being able to fly.
yeah.
Huh. Um, okay.
What about you? What do you think the superpower should be?
Critical thinking.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with that. So we have lots of C's, the 3 C's.
And yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I think it's specifically relevant in the form of like asking questions. So
Yeah,
probing, right? And
yeah.
probe everything. It can
That's that
get
curiosity piece, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's related to that. It can get sometimes interpreted the wrong way. My last guest it ran into some environments where asking why was seen as annoying and disrespectful.
Mhm.
So I just want to be cautious. That's why I was cautious. Like I don't want to just encourage everybody to go out there and do the 5 whys. Um, and if you don't know what they are, I'll explain that in just a second. But the reason is I taught my children the 5 whys, and I regret nothing else more than that. Um, so because if of course immediately the moment that they learned it, guess where they used it the most?
Yeah. Yeah, yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, that was a mistake, but no, I don't regret it. It was a good idea. But so the 5 whys basically is kind of like it's almost like a elementary school type of consulting tool that just traces the why. Um,
Mhm.
I can't do this. Why? Because I tried this and it didn't work. Why? And so if you do that
I
five
love that.
times, right? You actually usually don't even get to the fifth time, by the way. But if you probe 5 times, now the thing is, you can do that, in the why, or you can be like, well, why did you get that result? What have you tried in the past? So
Mhm.
the critical thinking and the probing and the creativity part of that has to also come with a little bit of sensitivity. If you're in an environment where you're asking why, it could be easily misinterpreted as you are smarter than them, you think more than they do,
Mhm.
which is not what you mean.
Yeah.
But like, hi, hey, everybody, why are we doing this? Could come across as y'all are dumb. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, yeah.
Or it could be, hey, just want to understand how we got here. What were the things that we did to get here? And are there any other ways to do it? Let me try something else, like, as
Yeah.
opposed to, so I think it's that type of questioning
Mhm.
that I'm encouraging. If that makes
Yep.
sense.
Yep, I
Yeah.
agree 100%.
Last thing I did want to touch on a little bit is the automation aspect of it. So you
Yeah.
work with a lot of data and automation,
Mhm.
particularly in market intel. And I told myself, this is a good reminder. I am horrible at promoting my own stuff. Let me pull up my QR code for the AI browser guide. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. I want this one. There we go. Okay. So, folks, do yourself a favor. If you haven't done this, you need to get this like right now. Stop what you're doing and take a screenshot and go to this. Or let me grab the URL for it as well and put it on here in just a second. Um, the AI browser tool guide. So this is not an AI. I'm not selling AI technology. This is actually a toolkit for building sourcing capabilities with AI browsers. AI browsers are the next. They're really the next evolution of what's happening, and they're
Mhm.
mostly free. Um, ChatGPT just launched this week Atlas, and it's mind blowing. There's Fellow. There's GenSpark, there's Perplexity's Comet, there's Dia, or they just got acquired by, I believe, Atlassian. And this is what's Chrome is starting to add this. Microsoft is starting to add this. It's the next AI browser wars. If you remember the browser wars, it's happening again now. And the reason is that these are actually going to be, they're not here yet, but they will be leading to the ability for us to actually have longer tail, multi-step, truly agentic systems. Right now in the market, there is no agentic system. People are saying that they have it. They've got humans behind the scenes that are actually doing it. But the reason I wrote this toolkit is because this gives you the resources to use it and do it right, because there are some massive inherent risks. So download this because there are risks, big ones that you need to be aware of, and there are right ways to do it, and it's free, and you need to just do it. I'm not selling you anything here. Just go get it. So with that said, and I did my due diligence, plugged my own show. The
Well
next
done.
question that I wanted to ask you is about automation, and particularly
Mhm.
data. Is there anything that you can share? Have you
Mhm.
done anything that's given you a superpower with either automation or data that moves the requisition? It could also be market intel. So when I talk about data, I
Yeah, yeah.
mean, market talent pools, things
Mhm.
like that. So I'll let you answer that. That's really pushed the needle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't say necessarily from an automation
That's
standpoint.
fine.
I
Yeah,
think there's some
data,
things
market
where
intel.
yeah, but we do use talent insights, and I've brought it with me a couple times. I talked about earlier about how we had a role that was open for like 2 years, and we finally filled it. But we also had to pull the market data to say, okay, you want all of these things to kind of drive that conversation. When you asked about the 5 whys, like I like to say, like, what if? Like, what if I found
Right.
somebody with just these things, and here's how it would open up the market for you, but you'd have to train on this piece. Would that be acceptable? So driving those conversations, and I will tell you, like sometimes with that role where it was open for 2 years, that's how we got there. Where we were able to figure out, okay, we have enough people here to train on this piece. Let's go and like, what would that look like? And so then we tried that next. So being able to drive conversations with hiring managers through market data to say, this is what the data is showing us. This is what we're experiencing. What if we did this? What if we did that? Um, just to see if they're open-minded. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're like, I'm like, okay, that's cool. We'll keep doing what we're doing, but just know this is sitting out there. And there's been sometimes I've had to check back in with them a couple months later. I'm like, hey, what if? Like, are you sure you want to keep going? So that's something that we leverage a lot here is that, but then also using it to have like pull competitor reports, understand like last year's data. So we can see like what companies did we hire the most from, which companies did we lose talent to, like who are we not competitive with, who are we competitive with. So then when we start putting campaigns together for this year, we know who to target, and maybe we need to look at why we're not competitive with some of these other people that we've lost talent to. So really being able to make some really smart decisions, and collaborate with all areas of HR, right? If it's the benefits thing, bring in benefits. If it's a comp thing, bring in compensation to that conversation to talk about it.
So it's a little bit of going back to competitive intelligence days.
Yeah,
Um, and can you share, if not specifically where you get the data,
yeah,
but like how you're, I guess, what is the data? Because a lot of times people think about market intelligence or talent pool intelligence, and they draw a blank. Like, where do I get that?
yeah. So we do use Talent Insights. I will say we used Talent Neuron before. Really liked it. It was a good product. We just couldn't get down to those niche roles. Like we could say electrical engineer, but we couldn't get down to like how niche we have to be. And so the data wasn't truly accurate. So that's why we transferred over to Talent Insights, which is a great tool. But we also track every declined offer as
So it's
to
internal data.
why
Okay, yeah.
it is a little bit
Good.
internal,
Yeah,
right? Like
that's
if it if it's declined, we want to know exactly why, not just it was declined because of this. Like we want to kind of know the trends, and we want to track like where were they working or where did they go
okay.
afterwards. So if they had two different offers for us, we're
Which one was
tracking
the other one?
which one did they go
Yeah.
to, because we can see it on LinkedIn or wherever. And if we told them, they were like, oh yeah, there are more money here, then we can start tracking those things. So we do manually track a lot of things, good, bad, or indifferent. It's just where we're at, to be able to find those trends to bring it forward to the right teams to help us continuously improve and stay competitive.
Um, can you? So you have internal data.
Mm-hmm.
You probably needed to somehow segment or change your infrastructure to collect that data.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Was there something, that really helped with that? Or was it like, did you do a landing
Well,
form or
yeah, yeah. Right now, it is a manual spreadsheet inside of SharePoint that's a shared doc that
okay.
everyone can just get into, which, you know, good, bad, or indifferent, that's where we're at. But hopefully we can start showing the value and start looking at technologies that we can implement more strategically that's not as manual.
And externally, are you, so you use Talent Insights is what you said?
Yeah.
Are there any other, like, Google or just free resources out there that you could use?
Yeah, so like we talked about AI earlier, so I will just sometimes just do a search like, "Hey, give me the top competitors in this market for this." And sometimes I pretend like from a sales perspective, like if I'm wanting to build a brand new wastewater treatment plant, like who should I go to? Who's top rated? And just to kind of see who's out there.
Market
Who are
intel,
we
okay,
competing against? Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And, yeah, you're right, there's not really a easy automation,
Mm-mm.
way to do
That would be
that.
cool.
No. So I am working on something. Do you have access to Google?
Yeah.
Like, you have a Google account, basically.
Mhm.
Um, I have a workplace Google account, which, the reason I'm pointing this out is the limit for Notebook LM is 300 data sources, which is kind of arbitrary because
Yeah.
300 data sources, versus 50 for the free one, and the limit is 200 megabytes per source. So you could have 50 sort. You could cheat and put
Mhm.
300 documents into 50 documents that are 200 megs each, and so really it's not that much of a limitation. I think they just need to create some difference between the
Yeah.
accounts. The point is, you could probably do this for free, but I haven't tried. And I'm using it in a way where I'm providing the raw data because it doesn't hallucinate. This is a RAG, or a retrieval augmented generative, technology. It's a large language model system, but it's only using the data that you provide. So you dump yours. First of all, it's yours. Doesn't
Mhm.
go anywhere, doesn't get shared anywhere. It's literally completely isolated. It uses the Google model, Gemini, but
Mhm.
doesn't provide anything to the model. It just uses it as, uh, you know, augmentation for it. So
Okay.
I dump in the logs in there and I ask questions about the data. So it also does help with
Oh,
visualization.
yeah.
But, like, for example, one of the things that I'm doing is, have you ever used, Rescue Time or Trip Talk or any one of those
No,
trackers?
but our Copilot does something very similar, like, where I'm able to put
Viva
some of these
Analytics.
datas.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
for
and, like,
Copilot.
help us with it.
Viva works really
Mhm.
well. Same thing, yeah. So basically, I've played around with this productivity model where I say, okay, here's my activity for the last month. Here's the report that I can get from, this. I pay for
Mhm.
it. It's not very expensive, but it's worth it. And you can get it from Viva. And then I ask it questions about it, um, because it's really good at understanding these patterns that I can't see. It's
Yeah.
too much data, right?
Mhm.
So what if you gave it, again, this is private. It's not giving it
Yeah.
you. What if you gave it the information from your tables that are unstructured and
Mhm.
asked it to structure that and provide any insights on patterns? Because you
Yeah.
might be able to, what I'm thinking is, sometimes people give feedback, reasons why. Speaking from my own experience, in exit reports when they leave a company or when they don't accept the
Mhm.
offer and things like that, even the recruiter notes are not very structured. It's just the notes
Yeah.
from talking to the candidate, but it's understanding large language models. And so it's able to infer information from that, even if there's not like a drop down that says accepted an offer that paid more money, but somewhere in the text of the note, it alludes to that, it picks it up and it finds the
Yeah.
patterns. Just thinking about that, because I'm using it for productivity, and
Mhm.
um, I have. Let's see if I can show you this. No, I can't show you, but
Yeah, now I wanna go play with it
yeah.
and try,
But
right?
so for example, with Rescue Time, which is just a time tracker, you can use Viva or any of that. I did an analysis on my, uh, sorry, no, monthly activity, and, in a period of the in the previous month, I did 46 hours focus work out of 66 hours that was tracked. Then the one after that, I did 62 hours out of 115. And then after that, I did 93 hours out of 83. And so it's helped me focus in on doing more productive work
Yeah.
because it's identified.
Cool.
Here are the things that tend to like suck your time or distract. And I'm not talking about I'm playing video games or anything like that. It's just that there's activities that I've categorized as higher value towards goal versus lower value towards
Yeah, I mean, you can get down some weird rabbit holes if you're trying to source people
right.
sometimes,
And
right? And you're like,
learning
I have wasted 30 minutes. Like,
right,
why did I do
exactly, that's right. And learning is something that I value, so learning
Mhm.
activities, it knows, "Oh, this was a" you're reading an article and you're learning, I get that. But it helps me get away from the you're learning versus you're now having a little bit of fun, and that's okay if I have a
Yeah.
planned break, but stuff like that. So, I think that kind of system might be helpful because you're not relying on anything that is public, which, scares the
Yeah.
bejesus out of me. Uh,
Yeah,
I
that's,
don't want these robots to know, stuff. So when they take over, they'll at least not know anything
That's
about
right.
me.
You won't be on their list
No,
or
I will be on
anything.
this. It's a weird thing. I actually asked. I asked. Shoot, I forgot which one it was. Might have been Gemini. It was either Gemini or I don't know. I don't think it really matters that much. Like, um, who is Shally Steckerl? Just again, I'm terrible at promoting myself, so this is kind of one of those like spur of the moment things. And the response that I got back was like, "Really, you should try it.
Is it like Googling yourself back in the day?
It's
Like, what'll happen?
way worse, but better."
Alright, I'll do
You
it
know what
when
I'm
I get down
saying?
to this.
Like,
Yeah,
it's
I'll ask
it's
Copilot.
worse
See if I can
because
serious.
of like it's like, "Whoa, you know a little bit too much about me."
Yeah,
But then on the other hand, it's better because it's like, "Oh, interesting." Um, like it started. I'll just read you this quick. In the talent acquisition world, I wish I had a radio announcer. You stand as nothing short of revolutionary as the father of sourcing. I don't know where he got that from. You didn't just join an industry, you created one. Your foresight in 1996 to establish talent sourcing as a legitimate function has transformed how organizations worldwide approach talent acquisition. I'm reading this going, I did that?
You're like, "Thank you."
Yeah, like, wow. What else can you say about me? But then,
Yeah.
so
Tell me more.
exactly right. Don't stop. Um, and then it goes into stuff like, uses technical expertise and cross cultural intelligence and compassion and bridge building. And I'm like, holy crap, where is it getting this? It was a
Yeah,
little intrusive,
that is
highly
interesting.
encouraged, but just weird how much it knows. Anyway,
Alright, I'm gonna try it. I'll let you know what
yeah, please
I
do.
learn about
Yeah, this
myself.
has been wild and fun and crazy. We got to do this again, but I have to ask you two
Yeah,
questions before you go.
okay.
The first question and the most important question of the day:
Mhm.
who should be our next guest?
Oh, man, you gotta put me on the spot
Well, it
there
doesn't mean that
too.
they'll accept. I mean, I'm going to invite them. They
Yeah.
might, not even respond to me, but just go ahead and throw out a name.
Alright, let
And I
me
do
I'm gonna
put
make
people on the
sure I
spot because if I let people say, "Oh, I'll send it to you," they never do.
yeah. Hold on one second. I will
Who
give
would you like to
you
see in the hot seat?
2 names. So, when my first time I ever went to SourceCon, or my second time, I should say, I won Sourcing Anonymous, and that's how I met Martell. 2 of the people that won with us is Danielle Hart and Katie McBain. They were both at RecFest. They pump out really great content and doing some really cool creative things. They work in the finance industry, so that might be something interesting
Perfect.
as well.
I will reach out and hopefully, uh, bait the hook and get that
Yeah.
fish. All right. And so, final question, closing question for folks
Mhm.
that are listening to the podcast and are playing this back later. I want to give them something that they can do for themselves. So, give us
Mhm.
a question that we should ask ourselves to answer for ourselves. Like, what question do you think we should
Mm.
all be asking ourselves over the weekend or whenever we listen to this?
Yeah. Sourcing related?
Doesn't have to anything that you consider important.
Anything I consider important?
Yeah, hot mic.
Yeah, it is a lot deep thoughts with Ashley over here.
That's
Let me
right.
um, I'm a really big believer in continuous improvement, even if it's just 1%, right? So I think it's what could I have done differently to be better tomorrow?
Oh my God, 1%. That's actually.
It's a whole philosophy.
I just realized that if every day you improved 1%, you would more than triple every year.
Exactly. So just that's what your goal should be. Just improve just by 1%.
How can you improve by 1% today?
Mhm.
Damn. That is super deep. Like, that's so deep, I think I need sonar to get there.
Well, I didn't come up with it. There's a whole philosophy
Okay,
around it, but I
I'm
do
gonna look
believe
it
pretty
up, but
heavily
yeah,
into
but I
that.
like this.
Yeah.
So the question is not the 1%, but the question is, um, ask yourself how you can improve by even if it's just a little bit every day.
Yeah.
Okay, love it.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Well, this
Yeah.
was great fun. Do I see you at upcoming ERE?
I will
Yeah?
not be at
No?
ERE.
Okay.
I want to be though. Look, one day we'll get
All
there.
right.
We'll get some conferences back in my belt
All
again.
right. All right.
Hopefully.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot. Have a good weekend.
Yes. You too.
Yeah,
Enjoy.
it's fun. And folks, if you want to come back next week, we have Adam Kovacs as our guest. Go look him up. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify if you want to catch the recordings. Until next week, see you, everybody. Be kind to yourselves.
Bye,
Bye
everyone.
bye.